Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. I hope you all are well and doing great. So today I'm back with another video to continue our UCAT preparation test. As we have completed our verbal making question tutorial, now we are going to continue from decision making question tutorial. So let's move towards our next slide and see what we're going to learn in this tutorial. So first we have an introduction about decision making question tutorial. This tutorial helps you to think about how to approach the decision making section of the UCAT. And it covers the following points. First, an overview of the decision-making subtest and its timing. Second, strategies for approaching the different questions along with useful hints and tips. An outline of the different question types with examples of each for you to view and try. So these are the three basic points about which we're going to learn and understand in the following slides. So let's start from the overview of decision making. Decision making assesses your ability to apply logic to reach a decision or conclusion. It evaluates arguments and analyze statistical information. Knowledge of specific mathematical or logical reasoning terminology is not required to answer any questions. You may be required to suspend your own beliefs and biases when making decisions to reach the strongest conclusion. So here we have our decision making overview. In that they will assess your ability, that how and which logic you will apply to deduce your conclusion from the arguments, from the information that will be presented or given to you. How you're going to reach at the best suitable result. This will be assessed, this ability of you will be assessed in that subtest portion. And you don't need to have the knowledge of specific mathematical or any logical reasoning to answer any of these questions in this subtest. You may be required to suspend your own beliefs and biases because it's a portion where you have to decide or conclude the best suitable argument from the information that will be presented to you. Okay, if we talk about the time that will be presented to you for this portion, will be 30 minutes only for 29 questions. Yes, 29 questions will be included in these sections, and you have to solve these 29 questions in 31 minutes. And these questions associated with diagrams, text, charts, and graphs. It means your question could be in the form of any diagram, it could be in the form of text or passage, charts or graph, and then you have to conclude your answer by that given data in only 31 minutes. Deductive reasoning involves application of logic to arrive at a decision or conclusion. The ability to reason is central to the ability to solve problems. The ability to evaluate an argument for and against a particular solution is important, particularly when dealing with uncertain situations where there is an ambiguous solution. Clinicians must often apply these skills in analyzing statistics or information in visual or figural formats. So in that portion, the deductive reasoning involves the logic that you will have to apply at every question to deduce your conclusion or results. This ability is essential to solve the problems that will be presented to you. And the people who are clinicians must often apply these skills like the logic and how to deduce the conclusions to analyze statistics or information. Okay, next we have that you are presented with questions that may refer to text, charts, tables, graphs, or diagrams. Additional information may be presented within the question itself. So as I have already told you about, that question could be in the form of any text, it could be in form of charts, tables, graphs, or diagrams. But any additional information can also be included with these charts, tables, or graphs. That they will given you a chart, but there is also any additional information in the form of a passage, so you can conclude your answers by understanding, by overviewing your passage and the charts both. All questions are stand alone and do not share data. It means the passage, the data, the information that will be presented to you is for only one question. It will not that you have to solve many questions with only one information. No. All questions are stand alone. They will not share data with each or any other questions. Some questions require multiple responses. For these, you will get full marks for correct answers. However, almost right answers also attract partial marks. Okay, now this is the best point that you have to be prepared for, that there are some questions who have multiple responses, that you can say they are the most of the options that could be true. So, and you are just confused about it. So you just have to choose it, not to ignore that question, because if it will be right or you have is the correct answer, then you will get full marks. But if that option is almost right, just close to the correct one, then you will get partial marks. It means at least you get half marks. Note that your full marks will be deducted. So that's why you just have to choose the almost right option also if you don't know the correct one, so your half marks will be there. Now, the decision making strategies. In this subtest, the statistical questions do not need advanced statistical knowledge. Rather, they are based upon practical, everyday reasoning using statistical data. Brush up on your maths, particularly around probability and Venn diagrams. Read the question carefully. Only solve what you need to in each question. Okay, so here we have about statistical questions, that for these questions you don't need any advanced statistical knowledge. You just need to have the basic knowledge to solve these questions. And some portion of maths you have to brush up on, which may be probability Venn diagrams, because these portion of maths are included in the decision making questions. So if you are not prepared for probability and Venn diagrams, so just go and practice for it and then be prepared for it. And then last strategy for it would be that you have to read every question very carefully, so you will understand what are they asking for and what you have to solve with these information, and then you can reduce your conclusion by understanding the question carefully. Timing is very important. You have approximately 1 minute per question. Although some questions will likely take longer than others. Okay, timing is the main issue in these types of tests. So you have to manage your time very carefully. You have to manage it like there are some questions that are very complex and there are some very easy ones. So you have to manage this time, that how you're going to solve all the questions of this portion within the time that will given to you. You have to manage it very carefully because it's very important, and it's like you have approximately only 1 minute per question, but some questions that will be lengthy will take more than 1 minute. So how are you going to manage it? That those questions that are very easy to solve, you solve them in less than 1 minute, so you can save it for the lengthy ones. Use the notebook and marker pen to write out or draw information if it helps. Okay, now as I have already told you that notebook and marker pen will be given to you. You can do your extra workout on it. You can write out on it, you can draw information that you can use to deduce your conclusions. You can do that on your notebook with a marker pen. So this will also help you to deduce your conclusions and reach at the best results. So there are a number of different question types. If you find more some challenging, consider flagging these for review, and answering these you find easier first. Okay, now this one is also a strategy to maintain your time, to manage your time, and to solve your own question very easily. How are you going to do this? That if there are some questions that you find them very challenging, that they're going to take more time than other ones, so you can flag these questions for review and you can solve the easier one first, and when you completed the easier ones, then you can reach at the review screen and then you can complete the complex or challenging ones. It will save your time and it will fresh your mind. Okay, now next we have the decision making question types. First we have syllogisms, logical puzzles, recognizing assumptions. Fourth one is interpreting information and drawing conclusions. Fifth, Venn diagrams. And the last one, sixth one, is probabilistic and statistical reasoning. So these are the some types of questions that are included in the decision making question tutorial. We're going to learn about each one of the type, that what type of questions are included, what type of strategies we can use in these types, and we're going to see the examples in these types, that how we're going to solve these types of questions. So let's start with the first one, which is syllogisms. For these questions, you are required to evaluate whether a series of conclusions arise from a given set of premises. These questions have multiple answer options. Okay, syllogisms are the types of questions that an information will be presented to you in form of 2 to 3 sentences, lines, or you can say a passage, and then you have to conclude your answer with a series of conclusions. They could be in 5 conclusions will be given to you, and you have to tell which one is the correct, because there are multiple answer options. More than one answer could be correct. So you need to track and drop the correct answers. Like this, yes and no options in the box will be presented to you. Then you have to drag the yes if the conclusion does follow the information that will be presented to you. Then you can drag that yes from one box and drop in front of that conclusion. It means yes, it does follow this conclusion. You can practice this functionality in official practice materials. So we will practice this functionality in the example questions. Okay, now we have a strategy to solve these questions. Read over information carefully and more than once. Now, to understand a question, that what they are asking from us, what they wanted from us, that how we're going to conclude and what we are going to conclude, we have to read our information very carefully. You can read it more than once, you can read it twice, you can read it very carefully. Your focus should be on that information, that what are they talking about, what they are asking for, what they are saying. Then you can conclude your answer. Think about each conclusion in turn and decide if it follows. Okay, now as I told you that 5 conclusions will be given to you, then you have to think about each conclusion. Each conclusion should be read very carefully and more than once, so you can decide that if it follows the information that's given to you or not. Do not make assumptions. That's the main point. You don't need to make assumptions that maybe it could happen, maybe they are saying like this. No. Whatever the information will be provided to you, you just have to conclude it from that information. You don't need to make any other assumptions by yourself. Sometimes questions use made up words. Don't be put off. Okay, there are some made up words that some questions use. You don't need to be put off that by these words. Just try to understand these words very carefully. Only use the information presented in the question. Again, the same thing, that you do not need to make any assumption. You have to use the only information that presented in the question. Then you can conclude your answer right and correctly. Otherwise, it could be proved wrong. That's why you only have to use the information that will be presented to you. Quantifying words are important. So pay special attention to words such as all, some, none, and only. Okay, these are some quantifying words that are very important and they are used in some of the questions. Like all, some, none, only, either, neither, like these ones. You have to know the meaning of these words, that what are they for, what are they using for in these informations. Then you can conclude your answer. These are not intended to trick you. It's not to trick you, it's just to provide you an information so you can conclude it. Knowledge of specific mathematical or logical reasoning terminology is not required to answer syllogism questions. These words are defined as an everyday usage, but to assist candidates, we have provided the following information. Again, I'm telling you that you don't need any specific mathematical or any logical knowledge to solve these questions. It's a basic information you need to solve these questions. Okay, next we have these in the following slide we have some words, the quantifying words, that what are they for and what are their meaning. First we have all. An unspecified number referring to the whole of it or everything. I think everybody knows that why we use all in any sentence. It means whole of it. If we're talking about anything and we use all, it means whole of it, everything of it. Always, on all occasions, without fail. Always means every time. There's no chance that no, it doesn't happen, it didn't happen. It means on all occasions, every time, without any failure. That's why we use always. Either exclusively A or B, not both. It means it could be A or it could be B, not both. Either means only one, not both, but it could be A or it could be B. Few, a smaller number of less than 50%. Few means very small amount of, a very small number of anything about we're talking. Less than 50% you can say. Majority, a number that is more than 50% of the whole but not all. If we talk about everything, about whole of it, it means we are using all. But if we talk about the majority, we are saying majority of it. It means most of the time, most of that number, 50% of that whole. More than 50% of that whole, but not all. Many, an undetermined number similar to some. A part of it, not all of it. Many means again something like majority, that it could be a part of it but not all of it. It could be more than 50 again, but not all of it. Most, an undetermined but majority number, largest part. Most is more than many. Many is for less than most, and most is more than many. If we're talking about more than many, then we use the most. It means the largest part, but not all. None. Not even a small amount, not even one. None means nothing, not even one. Not even a small, a few, nothing, just none. Nothing, not a single thing of no value. Again, something like none, that not even one, not of a single thing, no value it has. Not all, 1 to 99%. Okay, now in that word we have a chance of 1% because it is like 1 to 99%, but not 100%, only up to 99%. So it means we have 1% chance in that word if we use this word with anything. So it's 1 and to 99%. Only introduces something which must happen before something else in the sentence. Indicates there is nothing else. Only is the word that we used where nothing can happen except this. It means only this, nothing else. That's where we use only. That's what it means. Some, an undetermined number, being more than one but less than all. A part of it, not all of it. So some means more than one but less than all, not all of it. If we talk about more than one but not about the all things, not about the whole thing, then we can use some. That's some of the things. Some maybe like the few, we can say. Unless introduces the only circumstance which makes the statement not true or valid. Unless means we use it where we don't know the statement that is not true or valid. So we say yes, unless. So here is an example of a syllogism question. So yeah, here we have an example of a question that which type of questions are syllogism 1. Like this, they have given you an information and they ask you to place yes if the conclusion does follow, place no if the conclusion does not follow. So the question, or you can say an information that is given to us, is Mrs. Baker's children consist of boys and girls. All of the boys are asleep. They say Mrs. Baker's children consist of boys and girls. She has boys, she has also have girls. But they say all of the boys are asleep. That's it. But they don't mention about the girls, what are they doing. They don't mention they are sleeping, they are waking. So we don't know about them. That's the thing you have to remember, that they don't mention it, and there you don't need to make any assumption that if the boys are sleeping it means girls are waking. No, they didn't say anything about it. That's why you don't need to make any assumption. Okay, so here we have the first conclusion, which is None of the boys are awake. It means none of the boys are awake. It means all of the boys are asleep. That's why it's right, because they told us this in that information. Next one is none of the girls are asleep. We cannot say that it's true because they didn't tell us, they didn't provide any information in that point. All of the girls are awake. Again the same thing, no information about any girl. More children are awake than are asleep. They didn't mention any number of children, that how many boys and how many girls, so that's why we don't tell that more children are sleeping or waking. Nothing. That's why it's a no. At least 2 of Mrs. Baker's children are asleep. Again, we cannot say anything about it because we don't know the number of children. So here we have an answer. That statement 2 says all of the boys are asleep. That's why it's a yes. Then we are not told anything about the status of the girls. It's a no. We are not told anything about the status of the girls. Same thing as I have already told you. It's a no. We are not told how many children Mrs. Baker has or how many of them are asleep. So it's a no. We are told that all of the boys are asleep. So it's a yes. So that's how you're going to solve your syllogism questions, the strategies we learn about, the examples we see. I hope you guys understand, you have the concept now that how you're going to solve it. Okay, now next we have the logical puzzles. You are required to use the information presented in order to arrive at a conclusion. These questions have 4 answer options. There is only one correct answer for this question type. Information may be given in the form of text, tables, or other graphics. Okay, in the form type syllogisms, the information will be only in the form of any sentences or passage. But in the logical puzzles, the information that will be provided to you, it could be in the form of text, tables, or any other graphics, that is chart or diagrams. You have to use that information to conclude your answer. 4 answer options will be given to you and you have to choose only one correct answer. And the last one, we can choose more than one right answer, but there we have only one correct answer and you have to select that one only. Next we have the strategies to solve the logical puzzles. Candidates often use a grid system to help answer this type of questions. So these type of grids some candidates use to solve their answer, or you can say an information that will be presented to you in that logical type questions. Remember, a notebook is provided. It may help to write or draw this information. Figure out the correct placement of facts before answering. Begin with the position of known facts. Use this as a reference to pinpoint other facts. Okay, the thing that you have to remember, keep in your mind, is that a notebook is provided to you. You can use that notebook and a marker pen to write out or draw the information that will be presented to you. You can conclude your answer by drawing your data on a notebook, and then you can decide that which option is the correct one. That's the strategy that how to solve the logical puzzles. Next, we have the try to eliminate answers that cannot be true. Rather than try to solve the ones that could be true, you can try to eliminate the ones that cannot be true, that there is no possibility that these ones could be true. You can eliminate those answers first. Look out for words such as must or might. So there will be use of must and might in these type of questions. So you have to be looked out for these words, that what are they used for. Some information given may be superfluous. Only do the working out you need. Don't waste time doing more than is required. Okay, there is no need to waste your time by working out more than you needed. You just have to work out on a notebook only that much you needed. So it will help you to save your time to do more questions in the given time. Now here we have an example questions for the logical puzzle type ones. That's how a data, or you can say a passage, will be provided to you. So first here we have 4 children were scared of different creatures encountered on a biology field trip. Vikram, Saskia, Jake, and Hillary were each scared of a different creature. Slugs, mice, frogs, and spiders. And each had a different reaction. One child hid, one refused to get off the couch, one child screamed, and one cried. Vikram screamed, Saskia is scared of mice, and Jake is scared of slugs. The person who hid is not scared of spiders. The person who refused to get off the couch is scared of frogs. Which of the following must be true? So here we have an information that will given to us, and the question is which of the following must be true. It means that it have to be true from these following options. So first we have A, Hillary hid, B, Jake cried, C, Vikram is scared of spiders, and D, Saskia refused to leave the couch. Now you have to conclude the answer from the statements that are given above in the form of a passage, and then you can choose the correct option. So here we have a strategy that how you're going to solve it. You can make a table like this one on your notebook with a marker pen and conclude your answer correctly. The text on the board is the information we are given. We do not know some information, but this does not prevent us from being able to answer the question. Vikram, spiders. Vikram must be scared of spiders because he screamed. This information we have been given, not this one, that Vikram screamed. Saskia, mice. There isn't any mention of that Saskia screamed or not. It's just about mice. Jake, slugs. Larry, frogs. Larry must be scared of frogs. As we know, Vikram screamed, and we know the other two children's fears. Refused to get off the couch. That's why we know option C is the correct, that Vikram is scared of spiders. Okay, next we have the recognizing assumptions. The third type of decision making questions. In these questions, you are asked to evaluate arguments for and against a particular solution to a problem. You are required to evaluate the strength of the arguments. There is only one correct answer per question. Okay, now some information will be given to you in this type of questions, and you have to evaluate the argument that is best suitable for it. And there is also only one correct answer, not more than one, only one correct option that you have to choose. Select the strongest argument. This is now a strategy to solve the recognizing assumptions. So the first strategy is to select the strongest argument. Don't base your answers on your beliefs or existing knowledge. Okay, some of the arguments will be given to you in the form of options, and other ones could also be true, but you have to choose the strongest one, most related one to the information that will present it to you in a form of a question. That's how you can choose the strongest argument or the right answer. You don't need to base your answer on your beliefs or your existing knowledge. It just you have to choose the strongest argument. No belief needed, no existing knowledge needed in these type of questions. Strongest arguments are directly connected to the subject matter. Weak arguments rely on assumption or opinion. Eliminate statements that are assumptions rather than fact. So they are saying that strong arguments are related to the information, or you can say a matter that will be presented to you, and weak ones are just only the assumptions that you assume in your minds. So that's why select the strongest argument. So here we have an example of these type of questions, which is, should drinks companies be banned from selling water in plastic bottles? Select the strongest argument from the statements below. Okay, now the four arguments are given. Most of them could be true, but we have to choose the strongest one. So in option A we have yes, fewer than 300,000 of the 3 million plastic bottles thrown away each day are recycled. Option B, yes, all plastic water bottles that are not recycled are incinerated, releasing harmful gases into the atmosphere. Option C, no. If plastic water bottles were banned, people would drink less water, which would be a serious health risk. Option D, no, bottled water is cleaner than tap water, which is particularly important for those in developing countries. So here we have a correct option is the A. Option A is the strongest argument. Less than 10% of plastic bottles that are purchased are recycled, indicating that banning selling water in plastic bottles would reduce the environmental impact. Option B does not tell us how many recycled or incinerated. We cannot identify whether harmful gases would have an impact or not, and makes an assumption that all non-recycled plastic bottles will be incinerated. It goes some way to making an argument, but not all the way. Option C is an assumption lacking evidence. Option D is also an assumption. We do not know how much of the bottled water sold in developing country is actually tap water or unfiltered water repackaged. Next we have the fourth type, which is interpreting information and drawing conclusions. Information will be presented in various formats. Example, written passages, graphs, charts. You are required to interpret this information to determine which conclusion follow. These questions have multiple answer options. You need to drag and drop the correct responses. So again, we have an information in form of a passage. It could be in the form of graphs or charts, and you have to again drag and drop the correct responses in these type of questions. There could be more than one correct option, and you just have to draw a conclusion from the information that will be presented to you. So here we have a strategy for interpreting information. Some graphs and charts may appear to contain a lot of information. Focus on what you can interpret. Use reasoning skills to work out the answers rather than prior knowledge, and only use the information presented in the question. Okay, now this graph and chart that will be presented to conclude your answer, it could contain a lot of information. You just have to focus on what you can interpret, what you can conclude from these information. You have to use your reasoning skills to work out the answers, to work out the data, to write down your information that you can conclude from these charts or graphs. Rounding of numbers may help to answer a question quickly. Don't judge the strength of a conclusion by its plausibility. See whether information supports the conclusion stated. Here is an example question. Brewed coffee contains caffeine, volatile substances, and organic acids. Volatile substances lend a distinct aromatic flavor to coffee. Organic acids lend a bitter taste to coffee. The graph shows the relationship between the extraction time and the amount extracted from the three components. So here we have a graph also. This will tell you about the amount of components extracted, and this one the extraction of component in water. So you can use this data that is provided in the form of chart, and you can also use this data to conclude your answers that are given here. So first conclusion we have: coffee brew extracted at 4 minutes is the least flavorful. Among the three components, caffeine is the quickest to dissolve in water. Someone who prefers bitter coffee should brew it for at least 8 minutes. For a perfectly aromatic cup of coffee, the powder should be ground finely. The higher the temperature of the water, the more bitter the taste of coffee. So now you can drop yes or no in front of these conclusions which you think are true or not. So in this they are saying first one does not follow because amount of volatile compounds that lend an aromatic flavor to coffee is highest at 4 minutes. Therefore the coffee extracted at 4 minutes should be highly flavorful. Second one does follow because since coffee is brewed in water and caffeine seems to be the earliest component to be extracted, caffeine must be the most water soluble of the three components. Third one does follow because the amount of organic acids that are extracted is highest at around 7 minutes. Fourth one does not follow because nothing in the graph suggests that fineness of coffee powder relates to aroma. Fifth one does not follow because the graph shows no correlation between brewing temperature and taste. Next we have our fifth one type, which is Venn diagrams. These questions take a few different forms. You may be presented with a Venn diagram and asked to select the best conclusion from a list of statements. Alternatively, you may see a passage which you can interpret in the form of a Venn diagram. Or you may be provided with a set of statements and a set of Venn diagrams as answer options and be asked to select the one that best represents the information provided. Okay, now in these type of questions, Venn diagrams are provided to you to solve your questions. But there is a possibility that Venn diagrams could be in a form of questions or it could be in a form of an answer. If the Venn diagram is in the form of a question, that some conclusion or statement will be given to you and you have to conclude the data from the Venn diagram and select the best statement. If there is a passage will be given to you and then you have to conclude your answer in the form of a Venn diagram. So let's see a strategy that how you can solve these type of questions. So refresh this area of maths if it is not familiar. So if you are not familiar with these type of questions with the part of the maths, so you can refresh it, review it. Review our information carefully and more than once. If you are not much familiar with these type of questions, you can refresh this, you can review these type of questions, practice it, and then you can read over these informations many times, more than once, very carefully, and then try to understand it very carefully, and then you can conclude your answers. You may not need all of the information provided in the question. Try to do only as much working out as you need. So you don't need all the information that will be presented to you. You need only some of the information to conclude your answer. And you don't need to working out more than you needed on a notebook or wherever. Otherwise, it will consume your time. Eliminate those answers that cannot represent the information provided. Okay, you can eliminate those answers that you think that they are not related to the information that presented to you. You can eliminate those answers. You can use your notebook and marker pen where needed to draw your information, to conclude your answers, to write out on your notebook. So here is a Venn diagram question. So like this, we have a passage given and Venn diagram is in the form of options. So the question is, a food processing plant uses these base ingredients, wheat, rice and maize, in the production of its 22 products. 15 products contain wheat, 6 of those products use a wheat base only, 9 use all 3 base ingredients. 1 product uses 2 base ingredients. The same number of products use rice only as use maize only. Which diagram best represents the information? So here we have 4 options in the form of Venn diagrams, and you have to select the right one from the information that is presented to us. So D is the correct answer. All images have 9 products made from all 3. All images show 6 products with 1 base product, which must be wheat. We are told 15 products contain wheat. Only D shows a base ingredient with 15 products. That's why D is the correct answer. So last type here we have of decision making questions is the probabilistic and statistical reasoning. You will be presented with a very short passage containing statistical information. You need to apply your probability knowledge to indicate the uncertainty of particular outcomes. You will then be asked to select the best answer by using deductive logic to reach the correct conclusion. So information will be provided in the form of a very short passage. You can conclude it by using your probability method, probability knowledge, and then you will be asked to select the best answer from the ones that will be given to you. Now we have a strategy to solve these questions, that revise probability, including multiple and conditional probabilities, to remind yourself how to do these calculations. Read the questions and answers options carefully. Read all answer options before selecting your final answer. Try to eliminate incorrect statements to narrow down your choice. Okay, the strategies are that you have to revise the probability section from maths to solve these questions. And then you have to read the question very carefully and every answer very carefully. Before selecting your final answer, you have to again read out all the options and then select the best one that you think that it's the right. Try to eliminate the incorrect statement that you think, yeah, it's not related to your question. So here we have an example of this question. Simon plays 2 games of tennis against his friend Vera. For each game, the probability of Simon winning is 0.3. The games are independent. Simon thinks he's more likely to win at least one game than not. Is he right? Option A, yes, because there is an equal likelihood of him winning any game, so the probability is 0.6. Option B, yes, because the probability of him winning one game or more is 0.51. Option C, no, because the probability of him losing any game is 0.7. Option D, no, because the probability of winning one and losing the other is 0.21. So for 2 games it is 0.42. And here we have correct option is the option B. Probability of him winning one game or more is 0.51. So here we have finished a decision making question tutorial. I hope you guys understand each and every point. If you still have any confusion, you can ask me in the comment section. I'll be back with another video to continue our next question tutorial. Till then, just take care and goodbye.